What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Midjourney Fast Hours podcast. Drew Brucker, Rory Flynn, and we have our boy Allar here as our guest for today, and we're so glad to have him. And he's one of the OGs that has just kind of been in this little circle of ours for a minute. You know, one of those creators that's just playing with all the tools, just like us, really tests out all the functionality, just like us. Welcome to the show, dude. We're international. We've established this. But Allar is joining us from Estonia. So if you've never been to Estonia, this is your guide right here. So welcome, man.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite, guys.
If you guys watched our live show a couple weeks ago, Allar jumped on just to say hi, and we were like, you know what? It's time. It's been long enough. We've liked each other's content and commented in DMs and things like that long enough. Got to bring him on. Got to nerd out a little bit because Allar does some really cool stuff. If you guys haven't checked him out, check him out on Twitter. Check him out on LinkedIn. It's always something that it catches my eye visually, and I always, for whatever reason, there's an aesthetic there that just I pop immediately drawn to it. So, dude, it's good to have you. Finally get to do this in person, and I hope we can get deep today.
Yeah, let's cook it,
dude. You know we are. Allar, tell everybody how you say your last name so I don't mess this up.
My last name is Haltsonen.
Haltsonen. Got it.
Haltsonen, yeah. Crazy one, longer one.
And
okay. Speaking of that aesthetic, Rory, right?
Yes. Let's rip.
Let's get right into it.
These transparent ones are so sick, by the way. I've just been like, every time you put one up, I'm like, yes, keep going. These are, I don't even know, I was talking to, I think I said this to Drew the other day about, I was like, I don't even know where to start prompting wise for something like that. Like, even the concept of it is so cool. It's like a soft, it almost looks like a plastic sort of aesthetic, but it's not. It's like this very transparent, it's like a new medium. I don't even know what to call it, but I'm digging it though, man. It's like really fun.
Yeah, it's like a glass or some frosty texture or something like that.
I like this. I like these. This is a style code, right? You doing this with a style code?
This mood boards. 2 mood boards mixed to get with 2 mood boards and my personal profile or personal
nice
code,
Okay, so question within that, the mood board itself, or those mood boards, are those based on style codes?
One mood board is made from Sref images to get this certain blue or this transparent style, and another one was my specific Allar style mood board where are all my the best work is in my mood board. And then it's my profile code to mix all this together.
Love it, dude. And I know you've been playing around with mood boards a lot more recently too.
Recently, yeah.
What's your, what's your feeling on them? What do you think they're good at? What have you enjoyed with them? Are there any challenges that you've run into?
There's many things. First thing I noticed is that I'm getting a lot of more depth from images, especially from automotive stuff. I can see the quality and the aesthetics are super sleek and more depth. But the hard part is when I was trying to build my perfect fashion mood board stuff, I got pretty nice results, but the skin is somehow not there from the mood boards yet. So I have to test more to make the little bit better or high quality mood boards for fashion stuff.
That's interesting because Drew and I were talking about that last week because it feels like it's very similar to CREF in terms of the transfer from face to face, where you might have this super sharp defined face, and then the output with CREF is a little bit sort of softer and blurrier because you do a lot, and I notice it especially with the contrast as well, where I like this the texture of the skin and the texture of the hair and things of that nature because it brings it more to life. So I'm glad that it's not just us that this is something that we're that you're noticing too. Is it something you've been able to sort of I don't want to say fix, but are you going down the personalization route to sort of stack on top of that to fix it, or are you going a totally different way to get that sort of texture and more this? That's, you can see the pores in the skin, you can see the cracks in the lips, that one. Perfect to me. How are you going about that?
You mean like on the details or the skin part or?
Yeah. How what sort of rabbit holes have you gone down and try to get rid of that soft smush face or that soft texture?
like I'm trying to push a lot with the prompts. For example, like ultra realistic or highly detailed, I know, human skin or stuff like that, and then higher stylized value, and of course most of the time image upscaling or something like that to get this texture. But most of the time still like a lot of plastic kind of skin from Midjourney stuff. I'm still trying to like tweak it squeeze it as much as possible to get this not too plastic stuff. But yeah.
Now, is Midjourney still your primary driver for image gen in general?
I can't say it anymore, but Midjourney is for me is more like this artistic or this colorful or this more artistic stuff. But if I want to still like go to the more realistic stuff and use maybe real fashion train models or fashion products, then I'm using different models now.
Interesting. Which ones are your favorite?
Yeah.
At the current moment.
I actually really like the Caimera. I don't know, guys. I don't know if you have heard about it. But the Caimera AI is giving me super nice high quality. It's CAIMER Caimera. That's AI.
You know what? I've seen this name, but I've never been on this. I've never seen this site. Anything.
So yeah, I have been working with them closely.
This?
I don't know, maybe 2 years. I think that's the one. That's the one.
Okay.
The first one. Yeah. So the quality I'm getting from these are really, really nice. And of course, I have played around with the flux and stuff like that. But
this is interesting. You know what? Their founder just reached out to me the other day.
I was going to say, I've seen this name before.
And I was like, what is this? Have you? So you've been in here for a little bit. You've been testing and playing around with it. That's where a lot of
around 2 years or stuff like that. It wasn't available for like publicly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have tested this tool a lot. It's I'm super happy with it because the quality it's nice.
And is it focused on fashion specifically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think now you can also add products as well, and even maybe cars or stuff like that. But products and objects also working really nice.
Interesting. So we might have to do a separate little deep dive on the tool, see what's going on, because I think this is let's break down some of the features, because I think this is probably good for some of the audience here if they're getting used to a new tool. Is this something where I can take an article of clothing and then place it on a model? Is it just like straight text to image? Like how does it look? How does it feel?
It's super straightforward. If I'm correct, you can even just use one image from the product, and you can even use reference images, for example, from Midjourney, to get the style. And for a product, you only need one image to get it done. So I don't want to.
That's interesting.
I don't want to I'm not a promoter, but I'm just. Yeah.
You can do this
is also their how to say specific stuff that you can use different body shapes and faces. It's not like always like in Midjourney. Most of the time you get like similar kind of females or similar kind of age or body shapes, like the perfect shapes, right?
Yeah.
But they're trying to go more in the realistic stuff, that people are different, body shapes are different, stuff like that.
Are you able to? I don't want to like send your computer haywire, but are you able to like give us a look into this, like what it looks like in the UI? But I'm just wondering, like, what does it look like when prompting? Are you and I guess maybe this is a question you could answer though. Like, how different is the prompting, in terms of like coherence, or maybe just like the button selection, even when you're creating this type of stuff? In other words, like I think the one thing that Midjourney does, and I don't know whether it's intentional or not, I don't think it is, but like, a lot of that stuff is kind of hard to piece together unless you know the tool really well. Whereas the other tools really make it very simple to like, okay, there's a category for this. I can select this or I can click that, right? Whereas Midjourney, it's more like based on tokens, you know, and actual things that you used or the style references themselves. Like, what does that experience look like with something like this?
It's super straightforward and actually super easy. If you can start out with reference images to get the prompt for your to get two different prompts actually. One is going for a separate prompt section is for your background or environment, and another one is the overall aesthetic, the position, the pose, whatever. So you don't even have to prompt. You just add reference image. Automatically you get two different prompts in two different sections, and then you can modify your prompt. And that's it, man. You just and then you hit the try on button to add one image to the First you generate the base image. First you generate the base image from your reference style, and then like you see in here, you use try on, highlight the area, then you input the product, and it's mostly done.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
I think it's really high level. You don't have to be super specific, super professional guy to do it. So yeah, you just have to know the taste or the brand DNA or style to get something really nice. But it's really nice, simple.
Definitely going to have to go down this rabbit hole now. See if it has like more. Have you tested more intricate stuff, like in terms of fashion, to see if it gets like the very small details? Because that one right there that Drew's shown on the screen looks pretty good.
I think it can take more difficult products as well. Yeah.
Huh. Well, this is a revelation. So I think this is something that now interest peaked. Number one. Number two, going to have to get in here and see what this is all about. But number three, question for you. Do you have a fashion background at all, or is this just something you like prompting for?
No, I don't have. I just like to wear nice stuff, but I don't have like on the work side.
I love to do fashion stuff, man. I love it.
Do you? I don't think I've noticed that much.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. Like I remember the clothing one I did for Taylor Stitch, Buck Mason.
Yeah, that was great.
I have like a lot. Maybe I don't show a lot, but I've got so much of the stuff I have is portrait, but a lot, a good part of that is even just fashion stuff.
Are you going deep into like controlling the fashion, or are you just going like broad concept and seeing what you get?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, more or less like broad. Like I mean, unless it's like a specific use case like that one that I did, which I don't even know. I might have it on here. I can't remember.
The one from Taylor Stitch or Buck Mason or whichever one.
Yeah. You know what? I think I do have it on here. I got to go back.
Then you realize how much stuff you actually.
Yeah, you're just like, oh my god, what are you even doing with your life, dude? I don't know. Like this one.
Yeah, things like that. I remember that one specifically.
I mean, this is like a year ago now.
Clean though.
That's clean.
But like all these, right? Like all these were.
It's like great lifestyle.
On Midjourney, which was kind of cool too, because these were, like a lot of these are different shots. So it was like really thinking about, okay, how would I get this shot? How would I get that shot? I think at the time, right, like it was, using some things like style reference because you couldn't take in third party images at that time. But
those last two so clean.
Like, these two, yeah,
super clean shadows.
But I love that stuff, dude. I love that stuff, and I love, like, honestly, I love the Nike stuff that Allar does because, like, that's my kind of vibe too. I'm just so all over the place. When you, I guess, question for you, Allar, when you are concepting, like, I think this would probably be an interesting question. Like, how do you go about getting ideas for your stuff, right? Like, I think Rory and I, we've mind melded so much on this shit. We feel like we know, for the most part, like how we go about it. Like, what's your process? Like, if you're thinking about something, and you're like, oh man, I want to do something different. Or do you think about like, oh, I want to try this tool and see what I get out of it? Like, where do you go for inspo? And like, what is that first step or two after, you've identified that?
I just, everything just started from my head. I just click some idea. Oh, I want to try it. Oh, I want to try it. Sometimes I go sleep, man, like like 2 or 3 o'clock at night. Like oh man, this is great idea. I'm grabbing my phone, typing the short keywords. In the morning, I can just start working on the idea. I just have random ideas. I want different random concepts, what just pops on my head because I have been investing a lot of time doing this stuff, right? So sometimes my brain just kicks ideas in and I'm just doing like that.
Like for stuff like this, are you thinking about things that you've already done and generated and going back like through like your archive in Midjourney, for example, right? To find an image and then you're like, oh, like I could use this image. I've always liked this image. Or are you kind of starting from scratch, altogether?
From scratch, mostly, yeah. Mostly, yeah. But sometimes, yeah, the old stuff popping out from Midjourney archive, and but yeah, most of the time everything happens on the go, and sometimes I'm scrolling on Instagram search section, and there is a lot of fashion stuff which I have what I have liked to get this inspiration images for me. So I got some nice idea, then I'm a little bit tweaking this, trying to think, okay, what to add, what is the concept or scene I want to put this idea.
These are some of my favorites. These like Porsche scenes that you did for it was like a quick week there that they were all like just super calm and chill. Felt like I was like living in an editorial magazine. Yeah, like these, I loved as simple as like they are in terms of like camera movement, things like that. It's so clean that it just makes you feel good. Like I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, all this stuff is getting a little bit how to say crazy to me because I want to do fashion, I want to do car stuff. I have all bunch of other cool ideas, and then I'm thinking, okay, like how to find some way to like which type of content I really want to like go forward, or like how to say in which direction I want to go like next, or which direction I should keep. Like, is it more fashion or more like automotive stuff? So yeah, I'm in the mix. I'm trying to mostly I'm just trying to cook dope or nice stuff.
And it comes through because then you see the blend of like the Nike, you get the Nike fashion with the cars, and that's like I love that mix.
And then you got like this like little bit of infusion of like Kanye in there, to some degree.
Something
like this,
definitely, definitely. Yeah, Kanye has a lot of
like that Yeezy line, kind of like minimalism.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Drew, can you go back up to the vacay one, the vacay Porsche? I just want to show that one down to the bottom right there. There we go. When I saw this, I was just like, you got the yellow brake calipers against the yellow flowers, and you got the mountain cutting it in the mid-ground, getting the mountains in the background, the depth with the clouds. Like, I was like, this is like someone who's not nerding out over this wouldn't be like, they might look at this and be like, yeah, that's cool. But I'm like looking at all these little details from like the blocking of the flowers to the road, to then the mid-ground, to then the background. There's like, this to me looks like a Photoshop design that was really well crafted and then like brought to life. This is just so awesome to me, man.
I just like the typography stacked on it. And I finally get to tell you this, but like the moment created by, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I fucking love that. That's sick. That's so cool.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, with this particular one, if you click back this video, the flowers and the clouds, there wasn't exactly like there, maybe little flowers, but I in-painted flowers separately, and also the cloud part to make it even more like elements inside this scene, to make it more real. I wanted to get really this background, this cloud, to get it moving, but somehow they didn't started moving on the right to get it even more like movement in this scene. But yeah.
So this is what Drew and I talk about all the time, is like these little micro decisions. Like, people see the final product, but they don't see that there was like all this little tinkering that went on behind the scenes. And the one thing that to me is also just another caveat here is making something simple is hard, right? Like, making something clean, visually aesthetic, but like the cleanness is the hard part, because it's oftentimes like I have a problem. I go overboard with aesthetics and make it like crazy too much. But Like I always find a problem making things clean like this. So
I don't think
love
it's
that-
too much, bro. I think there are different styles.
Sometimes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, definitely.
just like
different, yeah.
minimalism is a thing, maximalism is a thing. You know what I mean? It's just your
Yeah.
own signature.
But this is also like when you look at it again, right? Like I know everyone's probably like, "Why are you guys nerding out over this?" But I'm like, this is so from a like just the line work in here too, like where the road is cut. The
Feels
diagonal.
immersive too, like because
It's got
everything
depth.
kind of feels it does feel real. You know, it does
Yeah.
feel real, which I think is again right. If you're trying to do video and you're even attempting to do photorealism, it's got to be there for it to really come across well. You know what I mean? Unless you're just making fun of the technology, which we've talked about too, is the other strategy, right? It's like, you just make fun of the limitations, or you make fun of the quirks, right? Like Rory, like the Pikachu Batman house party cocaine deal, whatever the hell it
Yes.
was. But
Yeah,
so
sometimes
this-
it's fun to see like what's the possibility here, what we can do, like how we can tweet, how far we can go with these tools, right?
yeah,
Was that
I like this Italy one, too.
Porsche, or are you starting with 9:16 aspect ratio and going from there, or are you starting more of a widescreen model and building out?
That's a really great question. I'm mostly starting with what is like 3:4. There's
Okay.
a smaller aspect ratio to get the main object closer, and then I'm just expanding to horizontal, like the 9:16 or 16:9 to get the main object as close as possible, and then building around it.
It is a wonderful tactic for those who have listened to us for many episodes now. If you're hearing it from everyone else too, like that is the way. It is preserve the fine grain detail of the main subject and then expand, right? Because that's I look at something like that. There's so much in there that it's really hard to get with one singular prompt and have everything look clean and aesthetic. So that it's cool, and I like the 3:4 as an aspect ratio to start there because that's a good
Yeah.
just condensed, which is
Yeah,
great.
I also noticed that if I'm starting with 9:16, the aesthetics is different, the shot is different. It's not there. It's just all over the image, and it's not like
not enough people talk about that. Yeah,
It's probably the biggest. I think it's probably one of the biggest. I don't want to say hidden factors of Midjourney, but like the generation aspect ratio can change the entire trajectory of where you're going with stuff.
I love the way you just said that too, because you think about if somebody quote unquote settles for something within the aspect ratio that they went to first, they defaulted to, and they go through the whole process, could have been much better had they tried it in 2 or 3 different aspect ratios to make sure that that's the best one, right? So that's where it's like permutations come in too, and putting in the reps of like knowing maybe different situations where some aspect ratios are better than others. Like 9:16 works great too for portraits if you really want to like dial it in close. 3:4 does a pretty good job of that too. Like 4:5, I like kind of more of like a medium full shot kind of thing. Like, so it just depends, man. But I don't, my speculation is people don't really experiment with that enough.
Yeah. And then it's like, it's weird. You find certain like little hacks, right? Like when I want like, sometimes when you do car stuff, and anyone who's doing car stuff, like this is oftentimes you default to the mindset of 9:16 or 16:9, sorry, because the car is, it's wide and it's long, like it fits a 16:9 aspect ratio. But if you're trying to get like close up details and you want like little intricate shadows and like you're trying to prompt for specific things in the car, sometimes using the vertical alignment in that aspect ratio, like it'll push it in closer up. So you start in on like maybe like a low angle diagonal quarter shot of the car, and you get like the front bumper and the windshield and the side.
And
view
that's a photographer strategy in general. Like you don't have to have the whole object in the frame. You know what I mean? And I think this guy first that comes to mind. He's in Atlanta. He's a photographer. Yeah, I know he's got some angles of cars. If I probably scroll back here far enough, that'll kind of illustrate this point. But like this, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were to just take this shot, like that's not the whole car, but that's a beautiful shot, right?
Yeah.
Like same with this one here, same with this one here. And so like, yeah, that's a great way to like think about it. You don't have to, And I think that's a tendency in general. I know, at least from like when you have a camera in your hand too, early on, is like you're trying to fit everything into the box. But there's also an artistic style to not fit everything in a box.
Yeah.
Or do you have
It
a
gives
photography background at all? Do you have a photography background at all? Or yeah.
I don't have. I have played around just like a hobby many years ago, just clicking around with some camera, but mostly I don't have.
Design background?
No.
No. All right. Well, dude, you have great aesthetic for someone, you know, without a design background. I will.
Thanks.
100% will
I think
keep
it's.
blowing
I think
smoke
it's. I think it's. How to say. Right now we have these tools. I have the design ideas in my mind what I want to create, but I don't have the skills to go in, let's say, Blender or this 3D stuff or any other like design stuff too much. But I know what's in my head, how I want it to look like, so I can just use AI tools to achieve it.
This is like the most meta sort of conversation or like thought I've had about it, is that like the tools, everyone's like AI is taking away jobs and AI is doing this and that. I honestly think it's creating more artists than we've ever had. Like everyone has ideas, right? Like maybe you just don't have the technical skills to use Photoshop. Should Photoshop be the determining factor in terms of you creating something or not? Like that's always like the controversial take I've had, where it's like, yeah, because you don't know the 70,000 buttons in Photoshop, does that mean you can't be, you know, a digital artist? Right?
Yeah.
Is that the limiting factor because you didn't take you didn't like have the coursework to go through that? Now you do. And now, as we can see, like you have an amazing aesthetic, and that's not because, you know, it's all dependent on going to school. It's like you just are able to express your thoughts, and like that's what comes out, which I you know, not to get too deep here, deep hours on Midjourney, but that's sort of I love this. Like that's what I love. The filmmakers that shouldn't be allowed to make films. You see all these conversations, like it's like so much gatekeeping in that community. When, you know, when someone releases an AI film, and it's like, you know, just maybe they don't have $1 million to get a budget to shoot something. Maybe they just want to play.
People hold on to power. People hold on to power no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I from that aspect, I get the gatekeeping. I also get the other aspect, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how everything is moving. I'm curious too, like both your guys' thought on this. Like when you get into these other image gen tools, I mean, you know, like you can get into image gen, you can get into, you know, runways, frames, but like the problem exists of, okay, I can't edit anything. You know, like I can't go in and in-paint anything. Like, so like Midjourney's kind of built a little bit of this stickiness too, in the sense that they've incorporated some of the, and it's not like, I don't know if Photoshop invented them or not. I don't know. I'm not a Photoshop OG, but like those Photoshop elements, right? Where you would typically go into Photoshop to use them, and you can do them right in Midjourney, which again, it's like I could create great images and frames or image gen, but then what? What if I want to fix this? What if I want to fix that? Well, then I kind of got to take it into Midjourney anyway, because Midjourney now will do the third-party editing, right? So you've got the full editor. What's your guys' take on that? How are you dealing with that, and what do you think are the implications of that? How soon does that change? Because obviously, I would think Runway for sure will do that.
Definitely. I would have to say on Runway side of things, like we all still know that this is like 10% of what the product's probably going to be moving forward. But now, you know, when they release something like the Restyle, like now the demand is going to be for them to work on the control net aspect of it, right? Like the structural reference, because they want to have you do it all on platform. They don't want to have you go somewhere else. So I feel like when they release something like that, you know, there's probably a plan in mind. But I still got to go to, you know, Midjourney editor for. I like it because it does a better job at matching style in terms of out painting and in painting. Sometimes it doesn't add objects specifically the way that I like it, but personally I think it does better at, like, if you have an AI generated style, it works really well. I feel like Photoshop works great with, you know, regular images too, but you know, I think Korea's great at it. I think Korea is actually really good on the image editing side of things as well. But you know, the Midjourney added feature of retexture, and then having the ability to bring style reference in and image reference and all the other features that they have, and change the parameters and whatever. Still, it's just like it's like a a low priority piece for them, but it's still super useful. So I just word vomited about the editor there, but I think it's worth saying for some of that stuff.
What about you, Allar? How are you dealing with that?
Most of the time, I'm just like like anything I'm creating in different platforms, I'm always taking this to the post-production or upscaling and tweaking stuff, and then doing some editing in Photoshop. Sometimes I'm upscaling original image just a little bit, and the second image from the same image a lot more to get some specific detail from the same image a little bit better. But if you upscale it, some stuff too crazy, then most of the details are going like not good. So I'm just doing layering stuff later in Photoshop and stuff like that. So I don't know, right now I don't have any big issues if other image generation tools or platforms don't have the like super good editor inside.
I got a random question for you, because I feel like this probably has happened to me and Drew before in the past. Do you find that, like, because you're posting a lot on social, and a lot of it is driven by that, are you basically just posting what you want, or do you sometimes like let the audience, like, oh, they liked this, I should go down this route?
That's actually what's happened with this transparent style. I'm not usually posting this kind of stuff, but I was just testing out mood boards and my ref styles, and then I was thinking, okay, let's share this mood board style as well. Like I'm sometimes sharing my ref styles, and then I saw, okay, this went viral. This people love this transparent stuff, so I just was testing like 4 or 5 more times, and still they love it. They comment, they love it, like a lot of impressions. Then I was okay, maybe I'm just trying out, but most of the time I haven't. Most of the time I was doing only what I like to do, creating my own stuff, not like others want to see. But now especially on X, I'm trying to make some stuff or uploading some stuff that the audience likes. But yeah,
it's funny because like sometimes you don't even know that you like stuff this much until like the audience like really tells you they do. Like I was doing some video game type aesthetic, like from like the 8-bit or like the 90s style, and then it was just like there's so many people that love it. I'm like, I didn't think this was a thing, and I keep finding myself like I want to go do this more, and then so they drive it. But it's the stuff like I said, because I noticed like when I'm always like I'm always thinking in a social mindset, right? Like from social media, because you notice the patterns, you notice the trends, you see what people are doing, and I saw the transparent style start to like build, and I'm always curious if that's something that's just like I'm so into this, or if it's like, well, the audience really digs it, and like let's keep going with it, let's push it further, because it looks so damn cool, and I like that because it's something familiar, right? Like it's not like a lot of it's like the Nike and Porsche or Nike in the car. It's like familiar but new style, like totally new
exactly.
style.
If I'm trying to, let's say, make new narrative or new style, I'm still trying to keep it like a Allar style or Nike or whatever style, to keep it somehow in my style, my aesthetics, but in different stylings or stuff like that.
If we were to look at your Twitter feed and then your Midjourney like organized tab, does it look exactly the same, or are you going like playing around for fun in Midjourney, or like playing and just like going different directions, prompting like maybe I want to go prompt like medieval video games or something, like which is totally different than your style on X? Is that do you go in a different direction, or is it mostly like the fashion, the cars, the sort of that?
I'm still playing around with a lot of crazy stuff as well, what I haven't posted because of trying to keep like some orders, some aesthetic or some style. I chose
why don't we do this?
So I can just.
Why don't you pull up your Midjourney? Let's go in your archive. Let's roll through it.
Would see some of this stuff, because it's.
I feel like
so
a naked
curious.
if I'm going to do it.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'll do that
Okay.
real quick. Because like the thing is like if I don't do something
We can
like
do
this
it
now, most of this stuff will never be seen. You know what I mean? So right now, like doing maybe some things for Goldcast here, Same here. Some like more like kind of crazy stuff here.
Right, because these are always the fun ones when you look back, when you're like, what was I even thinking about here? You know?
Yeah.
Like, where
Yeah,
was my
and
mind
so
space?
it's like I'm probably not going to ever post these, right? So it's just like,
Yeah.
who's going to see this stuff?
But I love this. This is to me one of my. I love when I go back into my organized tab, and I look for things that like something specific, and then I like come across like 10
Yeah.
images that I was like, I don't even remember generating those,
Yeah.
but they were.
Yeah.
It's probably because they weren't for the use that I was trying to use it for. But then I looked at them
Right.
from a different perspective, and I'm like, those are good.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
a lot. There are a lot of gems in our organized section. Like I'm always like, if I'm sometimes scrolling through it, then I find, oh, I didn't even remember that I created this cool stuff. So yeah,
Like, I
I'm
love
finding
this one,
gems
actually.
from my own
I
generated
know.
stuff.
That's what I'm saying. And then
Always.
it's too far. If it's too far back, you're not going to find. You're not going to.
Yeah,
go ever.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
never,
yeah, yeah.
Never going to see it again.
But it's
You know, which is
that's like this not the sad part of this is that there's so much cool stuff that probably just gets buried based on, you know, and like if I was just imagine if you were sharing every single image, like what that looked like. It would just-
damn.
There-
What if you
there-
just
there's
had an
al-
open feed? What if you just had an open feed that API'd into a post every time you created something?
That's nuts. That's actually nuts. I mean, because there's some, you know, I look at my specific styles and I'm like, I know sort of where I default and bias to. And then it's always like scrolling and there was maybe like this one random outlier prompt that I tried and it's totally different, but it sticks out in the in the scheme of things.
Yes.
You know, like that fox, like that sticks out to me as like not particularly Drew.
Well,
right?
so
Like,
this was for like a training too.
Okay.
You know, but like I was like, damn, that's kind of cool though. You know,
it is.
That's what I'm saying. Like even this, like even if I get this like little 2-minute thing out where I'm just showing this, I feel at least somebody else has seen it besides me. Right?
Goo.
So goo,
Goo.
slimy.
Oh, those stickers are legit.
Yeah, I was creating some stuff for like Goldcast, thinking stickers, slime stickers, kind of thing.
I like that. I haven't done that. I don't think I've
Playing
ever done
around with
that.
like a button, like so I saw like somebody posted like a Figma button, you know, that was super cool, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that in Figma. Let me just take this and see if I can turn it into, you know, any color that I want, kind of thing. You know. So here's that egg, right? Like,
Egg.
just stuff like this. But yeah, man. Oh, you know, like doing all the little none.
Oh, these flame ones.
You know. Yeah, I was trying to get a Molotov cocktail. It wasn't working real well, actually. Not in Midjourney. Anyway.
Scroll back up real quick. Scroll back
Yeah.
up.
Where?
Keep
Higher?
going. Keep going. Top left there. Feb 8, 2025.
This?
Yeah, I want to just see that.
This is
See,
the
like-
one we did. I think we did this while
do
we
this
were
live?
together. Yeah,
Alright.
we did this live.
Because I love that sort of glitch distortion there, but it's like it's constructed. Looks cool.
Yeah.
See,
This
is the thing.
and Rory, this was if I remember correctly, this was the describe within the full editor, the suggested prompt.
That's a good unlock.
Because we just took, remember I think we took that same thing, like we took an image, we tried this, and then we applied different mood boards to it. I think that's what this was. Here.
Or for context, we were basically testing, you know, in the editor feature where they have like suggest prompt. We were testing that versus describe to see which would give us something better.
Okay.
Sounds like the editor suggest prompt was pretty damn good in comparison. So that was a fun one to play around with, as a little unlock of, you know, throwback for anyone who hasn't listened.
Love
to
these
that
like
episode.
little gradients too, you know, just stuff like
Yeah.
this. Rory, like when you're thinking about like your stuff around like ad creative at scale, for example, or just like I'm thinking like brand creative at scale. You know, it's like, dude, you could
So
create
nice.
these so easy. Yeah, man. Anyway, that's my stuff. Let me turn it over to one of you guys to share a little bit.
Okay.
Or you
How I
wanna
can?
get in
Okay,
there?
I can. Yeah, I can share from. Okay. Let me know if you can see it.
There we go.
Oh yeah, there we go.
All right, so we got some cool looking stuff right off the bat, just in that style that I was
Here are some.
like.
Okay, yeah. So you stacking the mood boards, got your profile on there. What are you using for style out? You're using 700 on that. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm testing because if I understand correct, the style comes through more with mood boards if you bring up the style.
I have heard that.
Yes.
I've tried playing with that. I think it's true. I don't know.
It does work.
I don't know how significant, but yeah, it does work. Yeah.
I actually have a slide on that if we want to look at it at some point, like where you could see like the differences. But like, yeah, then see there's things in here that probably, you know, we see on social, but then there's things on here that we don't. And it's, you know, I always like to see where, you know, it's like a time step of your brain. Like like where you were at that moment, what you were thinking, you know, what you were inspired by, because this stuff's super cool.
Hey, you know what's a good maybe conversation here too is like if you go back to that one you were on before that, Allar, for example, or even this, right? Where are you coming up with prompts? How are you creating prompts now? Meaning, are you using an open box here, clear box, just straight off the dome? Are you referencing old images of things that you've liked and building off that? Are you going to a third-party source or explore page to find something to build off? Like, what are you doing here?
That's a great question because I don't remember anymore.
I mean, like in general, though, like let's say you have an idea, like you have an idea for something in your head, roughly, and maybe it's like a little cloudy, but you've got like a core subject at least, maybe even a style within that. How often are you starting with an empty box versus maybe taking a style reference or a style code or a mood board or something else at this point, and then, you know, kind of minimalizing, I guess, or consolidating the prompt in that fashion because you've got the added context?
You know, I don't even know how to answer this, but most of the time I'm still going like in the freestyle mode in Midjourney as well. I'm trying to now even more use mood boards and ref styles to get some specific style. But if I'm using like ref codes, the prompts can be super simple, even maybe a one word to get this maybe transparent looking, this, how to say, here is the prompt, transparent night computer, and images, it's done, right? So sometimes I have these ideas, I just type in few words to get the image, what I usually have to maybe prompt it in a crazy way to get this kind of style. And I'm just going in. If I have the idea, I'm starting to prompt, and that's it. Are you guys using the image describer in Midjourney as well? If I'm, for example, dragging this one from here, now I maybe even got even cooler prompt from this.
Yeah, that's what I found the best thing to be for is like, I like this. Let's see what else we can do with it. You know, like that. Sometimes it builds like a little bit more additional into it, which I really like on the describe feature, because sometimes it'll add like a different color to it, or like a little accent that makes it awesome. But it's so nice to have it back. Like it felt like it was gone in Discord for so long. Like you just like, I don't want to go back to Discord just to use describe, but I like this black image right here. If you go back up, this like matte black, sort of the bike in a very dark room, that one with the 10 on it. Like I like that it rendered that way. You know, like that's very, to me, I think it's sick because the 10 just pops and the rest of it's cool.
Okay, nice.
And
in here I used also like mood board, 2 different mood boards, even fashion mood board, okay, and my global style.
That's a fun thing too, is using like mood boards that you've built for specific purposes for not that purpose. You know what I mean? It brings a good. Are you using personalize on every image?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah, to get this kind of softness or this kind of minimalism style, but most of the time I'm using the. In here I have used 5 or 6 different ref codes.
And that's
okay. I can just give the screen back to you guys.
Let's see. Let's
any kind of random stuff. I'm just, because of some ref styles are giving like unique style. I'm just testing like what it's like really for. What is this style is speciality, or you know. Anyway,
you get great texture in a very clean aesthetic, which I found to honestly to be hard. Like with that engine block that you just pulled up, or you know, that engine where you have like the deep ridged textures against like something that's like, very clean and like sort of contoured aesthetic. I've always had issues with that. Like I noticed in one of the dirt bikes before too, where you had like this very sort of like clean, smooth, like silky almost aesthetic on the bike, and the tires had like the rough, gritty ridges, which I love. So it's like this is a perfect example. Like to me, that's so awesome. From people again, like people who aren't nerding out over this might not be interested in that, but I'm loving that, like that sort of dichotomy of the smoothness and the texture together.
Dichotomy.
Yeah, I can get one SAT word in an episode. So just flex a little bit,
man. Put that thesaurus away, brother. Hey, man, I love it.
Okay,
this is good stuff, dude.
Let me give the screen back to you.
All right, so let's see. We'll just look at what's going on in this organized tab here. So, Allar, funny enough, cars very similar. My buddy painted or wrapped his car in a very similar color. It was a light pistachio green, he told me. So then I was like, oh, let's play around with the light pistachio green. And I'm like, I was kind of like obsessed with the coloration, and then realized that sort of, you've been doing it a different way. Not necessarily, anything mind-blowing here. But we had some images from people that were asking me questions in the course, trying to go down the rabbit hole here with something catchy for a YouTube thumbnail. You guys can see the back, behind the scenes on that one. See if we can get something that was a little bit crazy. Let's see what else we got. Got so much of this stuff is for video too that I'm trying. But like anything here that was, again, Drew, these are all for YouTube thumbnails to see what we can do. This one was
there we go.
Little retexture to see if I could build myself into Avatar, so that I could then do that in Runway and then make everyone mad that we could kind of make Runway on our computers, or kind of make Avatar on our computers. But yeah, I mean, like I look at this as just my visual ADD here. It's like it's something different every scroll.
Yeah, you're kind of like all over the place too, like me. Like, dude, I mean, yeah, and you'll probably show, like a certain angle of it, right? But like most of the stuff you're not showing.
Okay, these are
that,
pretty
like that's super cool.
Crazy.
Like
I don't even know why. I did this now.
Yeah,
and I'm looking back, and I'm like, these are fun, but again, I don't know what I was doing with this. I think I was trying to see if I could get 3 heads on an animal or a beast, because that was maybe a question someone asked me, and I was like, well, let's see. I liked this one. I remember this one, just being like, okay, that could kill, that could kill something. And here, this is also, I was like, what happens if I take something like this into Kling, or if I take something like this into, Minimax or whatnot, and just see where it goes? Because I always like these images that people have on X, and I never do them. So I was like a small person in like a big environment, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like always, and I'm like, well, let's play around with that concept. Now we're back to Wabi Sabi, Drew.
Wabi Sabi, baby.
Was that all
Have
right?
you tried to create this? Have you tried to create the same concept or the same image you showed this with the snake, and starting with the person close up, and then zooming out, expanding the image reveal other details and the big snake?
See, that's a good idea. Now, I didn't do that, which I think I could. This one was more along the lines of where I was potentially going to start with that, but then I was like, let me see if I can actually make the person small to start to get the grand size of it.
Okay.
But I do really like that approach, which is more in close, and then like let's build from there.
Yeah.
The only problem with sometimes with like this stuff, right, is you get like when you start to expand, you get like the randomness.
Oh yes,
like,
yeah.
The random twisting,
and it's not a good. Most of the time, it's not a good random. You know what I
No.
mean? Like that's
like you can
the part
see all
that
the
kills
bad
me.
here. This one was actually I like the way that it rendered this way, in that sense. But like you always get the weird stuff. Snakes are really hard for. Have you guys noticed that? Have you ever tried prompting for snakes?
It's been a while. It's been
It's
a
pretty
long
hard.
time. Yeah.
But this one I wanted to play around with a lot because it was just fun in the way that it outputted. It was something that I didn't ask for, and it was like one of those random.
Hell yeah.
Throw a bunch of profile codes in here, see what happens, and I was like, all right, I can play with this idea now, which is, I think the other thing that probably gets when you're not mashing a ton of different mood boards and SREFs together, you don't end up with something like this. And then it's like, well, what can I play with now? How can I take that concept and run with it? But yeah, man, there's so much. I mean, I never prompt for this stuff. I was like oddly satisfied by this.
That whole, I don't know which ones you were making. Damn, you're still mixing a bunch of mood boards on these. But even that last or I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before, that thumbnail with the Indian kind of peeking over something. Yeah.
And I was playing with expand, right? Like it's just, there's so many fun things to do with it and you never know where it's going to go. But I always, the expand can be really cool or it can be really odd, like this one, I liked what it did. Like I took the 4x5 image and then just expanded it and then it added these nice like textures. If I blended that, it would be like a cool little look and feel, but sometimes it's just, the expand has a mind of its own.
I know. I wish that would be a little bit more. I don't know if less randomized is the word. But like it tends to like almost treat it as like a new frame entirely and not necessarily. Especially like there's a threshold too. I know you've noticed this because you've generated as many images as I have. Same with you probably, Lar. But it's like when you go into editor, there's only so much you can kind of drag it over. Like if you're trying to create that negative space specifically for thumbnails, Rory.
Yes.
Like where it's like, okay, I know I'm probably going to get empty space here.
Yeah.
But then you slide a little too far and all of a sudden it wants to fill in like a whole ass image in there. It's like, yo, what are you doing? Don't do that.
Going 4.5 to 16.9.
Yeah.
You're going to get like different images, right? Like you got to go from like 4.5 to like maybe like 4.3 or something like that and just like keep going out or 3.4 or, something very 5.6 to then whatever. If you do it, you might have to do it like 2 or 3 times because it just randomness gets injected.
Okay,
right
I got a question. Just as a recap again, I know Rory, I know your answer. I'm curious if it's changed. Allar, I want to know your answer. I'm wondering if it's the same thing you mentioned earlier. What's your favorite aspect ratio to create in right now? Let's just keep it within Midjourney because you've got more options there.
Yeah, I think it's right now. It's 9:16 because it's like I can post it like in Instagram or X or any other platform, but yeah, mostly because of the Instagram Reels. If it's a good image, I'm turning this into video and posting as a reel on Instagram. So that's why I'm just posting the same image on every other platform as well.
Yeah. Now, do you always start from that perspective? Do you start 9:16, I'm assuming then in most cases, or do you kind of operate from that mindset of let me create this in like a 3.4 first and then turn it into a 9:16?
Yeah, most of the time 3.4 first and then expanding. Okay. Or sometimes, like you said before, maybe it's a close-up shot from a beauty model or stuff like that. So I'm just going straight away.
Straight to it.
Yeah.
All right, Rory, what about you? I believe your answer used to be 5.4.
It's changed.
Is that still the case? Changed?
It's changed. It's been more 3.4, 2.3 now.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the portrait side, brother.
Dude, I know. I feel so. One thing is, oddly enough, it's because I just like the way that it looks in the Midjourney organized when it's just all straight across in a line instead of stacked 2 on 2. I don't know how weird that is.
Because you're an ADHD motherfucker. That's why.
I know. And that's why 5.4 to me always gave me the best sort of, in my opinion, was like the best mix of like subject and environment where it was like I had enough to play with. Now I'm really focusing in on like just 3.4 as being like a great starting point. Like it's a great
I could see 5.4. I haven't played around with 5.4 much, but like I could see that being the case because that's also why I like 4.5, right? It's like you're getting it's portrait forward, but you're also getting more of the scene too, right? Yeah. And I think you were thinking about that in a very similar way, which is interesting. I think I
was 5.6 for a while too. Like I don't know, just a little bit.
That was the other one that was in my head for you too. I think I'm still 4.5. I think I'm still team 4.5. I've been doing a lot more 3.4. But I could see, I don't know, man. I might have to try some 5.4 though. Because I really like that in the sense that it's kind of closer to that square aesthetic too. And I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like 1x1 is the default for a reason. I do think 1x1 for the most part, you do get pretty good. It's a safe place for most generations, unless you're trying to jam a bunch of stuff in there. But like you can generally get pretty good stuff from 1.1.
I've also found symmetry on 1.1. That's the place to go, right? Like if you have something like super symmetrical, like or you're doing like a button or something that's center display or center justified in the middle of the image, like square. It's the only one that's
logo object.
Yeah.
Like
it's the only one that's symmetrical, the only aspect ratio, right? Like you can't get anything else that's symmetrical. So it's like little nerd tip there for everyone.
Little nerd tip.
Want some of the center, start in 1.1.
Do we want to get into office hours at all? Just kind of catch up there as we wrap up.
Let's touch on it.
Okay, I'm curious to get both your guys' thoughts on this. So let's start with V7. I think we're finally, maybe, kind of getting close. For the longest time, we were thinking this is end of February. We're now, halfway through March.
Exactly.
Thinking a week, on the office hours on Wednesday, heard as little as a week, maybe 2 weeks. So I'm thinking end of the month. Like I'm thinking last week of March. So full end-to-end system for V7 established, blah, blah, blah. Prioritizing improvements in image quality to prevent unintended artifacts or unwanted text. Rory, you probably heard this on the call because I know you were on for at least part of it, but it sounded like maybe from quality itself, at least from the initial V7 launch, may not be like this huge jump in quality as much as the jump that you're going to see with like prompt accuracy, that coherence. And then Allar, this is interesting too, but like, initially higher stylization would kind of veer off from the prompt. They said that that's going to be less the case with V7. So you could dial up style-wise and it's going to stay true or truer to what's actually in the text prompt, right? So in case you guys aren't familiar, the higher you would dial that up, it would take more creative liberty away from your prompt. So yeah, image coherence, textures have improved significantly. Talking about prompt coherence, we're talking about omni-reference, character reference, which is probably going to be the highlight as well. I don't know.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, what do you guys?
They sound.
They do sound very excited about that.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff, like promising stuff. I'm really looking forward, especially the quality and the prompt accuracy.
It needs a little bit of a refresh there. I feel like we've been, when you get complacent doing the same things over and over again, it's like I need a little challenge again. Like let's switch it up a little bit and see where we can go.
And hopefully still keep some of that quote unquote magic of, hey, I can put in like a token that can do some like creative stuff with, without it taking it too literal. You know what I mean? Like I do really like the coherence with things like frames and image gen, for example. Like, I mean, it pretty much can get everything that you're putting in there, but that's where it's that special sauce with Midjourney is like, can it kind of take some creative chances with it and do it well?
That was one thing I was trying to prompt for in Flux the other day, and people would probably be like, dude, you're just doing it the wrong way. I was trying every single way possible to get the brick wall I had like an exposed brick wall in an apartment, and like it just looked so video game. Like it wouldn't go to like where Midjourney would go and like make the paint chipped. I want like red and white sort of contrasting aesthetic. Like wouldn't go there. I'm like, it looks so fake, that part of the wall, and I hate it. I'm just like, this is where I'd love to take it into Midjourney and just edit it, which I probably will. But it's just like, why is that so easy in Midjourney and so hard everywhere else? Something simple like that, brick wall, right? Like it's not like there's not 1 million data images with a brick wall in it. I'm sure there is, maybe more than that. So that's a little side rant on Flux, but it still can do some really good stuff.
We'll see what happens with that. And it sounded like from the call too. I mean, this is not out of the ordinary for Midjourney, but it's like, okay, at some level we just got to push this, we got to ship it, and then like gradually over the next couple of weeks it'll get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. I think there are several reasons for that, but I think it's also like, how much do we jam in here for launch versus wait another 2 weeks? So you got to draw the line somewhere. So I think there will be some of that. I'm curious to see like how much of the functionality makes it over to the initial launch without us having to wait for certain things. Like, are we going to have to wait for full editor, certain pieces of the puzzle? I have no idea. Also, they did say video you know,
Sometime.
expected in approximately 2 months. But like, if you really think about that, we're probably talking like late
August.
summer.
Yeah. I would say September, Q4, somewhere along there. But that's was it if my memory serves me correctly, either version 5 or version 6. It was I'm trying to remember which one, where it was like they launched the base model, which was V5 or V6, and then like V5.1 or 6.1 came out immediately after, which maybe like a month later. I think it was 6.
I want to say it was 6.
Yeah, because that one, if like, why don't they just do that? Just like get us going, and then just like make the updates. Like
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like you don't have to. I think they've kind of, for whatever reason, maybe you're thinking the same way we are, in the sense that it's like a new number has to be so new, but at the end of the day, it's like those little changes in the 0.1, 0.2 can also be pretty big jumps too. Like it's just a self construct there. It's just a different number. It's a different model. Okay, cool. But like, push 7.1 out 2-3 weeks later if you need to.
And the good thing is, if you don't like it at the time being, you can still prompt in V6.1. Like that's a great, you can still stay here. You can still do exactly what you want.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? It's like it's not going backwards. You don't lose anything.
Yeah, you still have access. I think there's some models that you can do that, right, where you can go and utilize all the old ones. I don't know if you can still use version 1 of any of the models though, like you can do in Midjourney if you wanted to.
Yeah, good question.
Don't know if you want to, but you can.
Probably just good for that one post, right, where it's like, look how far it's come.
Exactly. But that's the best point of it. But or anything you're looking for, anything you care about coming up in the future for them, or like want them to do?
I don't know, nothing too specific. I'm just waiting to see these updates and see how it will perform and how to keep creating the best work as possible with Midjourney. So yeah,
it's necessary for them to drop something soon. Like mood boards, great, kept me.
Yeah, that was like we needed that. We needed that.
Yeah,
for
need
sure.
like a little bone. Like thank you, because I probably generated more images in a day than I had in 2 years with that. But I still think like the interesting thing is David said like a few times on the image quality that it's like, I think people are expecting like this crazy leap, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be a crazy leap. And I'm not sure what that means.
And I agree, man. I don't know that it has to be, right? It's just like, can you fix some of the other stuff, the artifacts? I think was something that was brought up.
Smush face.
Like smush face, like where you can really like, have a little distance, where you can still capture an accurate looking face, like a real looking face. Some of those like other little things, like holding things, like that to me would be a big jump. It doesn't have to be like the first thing you're thinking of, oh, like I could see better pores on the face or more texture here. Like I thought that was really what took place with 6,
And also multiple images in one scene with correct faces and hands, and that will be helpful as well. Yeah.
Because the crowd images sometimes.
They crazy. I had the client,
and then it's like,
project.
I like my subject 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, and 5 are shit. So it's like, how much time are you going to put in, trying to correct that shot? And
I have done that.
Or what were you about to say about a client? I think it was, probably a lot of people resonate with something like this.
Yeah. Luckily, with image upscalers, I get the faces and stuff like that a little bit better. But yeah, it was pretty big headache to get like bunch of people's in different scenes to look like human, not just squashed faces or stuff like that.
I feel like that's what we're gonna like. So going back to the character consistency, they've talked a lot about it, but like we've kind of heard enough about it to where it's like we've kind of like compartmentalized. Oh, it's gonna get better, but what exactly does that look like? Rory, if you remember too, they were talking a lot when they first were talking about that in terms of multiple characters getting right too, and so. That specific use case that you bring up, Allar, like I'm curious, that could be something they're just not talking about a lot specifically with like a use case like that we get in there and we're like, oh shit, like this V7, and like to me, it's like that kind of jump is a huge jump because then it's like that opens the doors for something that you just couldn't do before, like, or it was just a huge pain, and they've solved a lot of those already, but
if the in-painting works right now. For example, you want to change the face, but I'm not sure it haven't works really well right now.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward.
They need to, like, if they're going to do video, right? Like, I think they have to understand, which they do, is that people want to tell stories with video. They don't just want to make random clips. So you need to have character reference. You need to have object reference. You need to have, like, all this to tell stories. So I would assume they've put a lot of effort into that if they're going to make the investment from a business standpoint in video. Because, like, what's the point of the video if you can't go tell consistent stories with it? And that's what they're trying to do, world build, right? And you need to have these certain things. So, you know, for them to ignore it for a long time, which is granted, whatever. It's just like, I think it has to be good, and I think they've probably focused on that. And if I had to bet, that'll probably be like our one. I think we'll probably be more excited about that aspect of it than like the overall boost in quality of the whole model, which should be enough to take everyone. I think on a ride for the next couple months, which that's just a prediction of mine. So, like, once the dust settles, you and I get back on here and we start talking to everyone else too. It's going to be like, nailed Omni reference.
Yeah.
Image quality, cool, but not like mind blowing. That's just how I feel it's going to be.
I agree. All right. Yeah. Maybe one other thing that stood out to me, guys, was just like the hardware, software stuff. They were talking about that quite a bit. So Midjourney's established hardware labs featuring 3D printers, CNC machines, extensive equipment for experimental projects, working on ambitious physical hardware projects, including substantial infrastructure, so cables and power equipment, actively pursuing innovative projects beyond current expectations. So, like, in other words, like I've heard in the past, like something that's wearable, something that you could go inside. Like I've heard a couple different things. Like that's all they've really shared, but that's crazy. I don't. I think they even talked about they brought in. I read this somewhere. Maybe it was on X. They brought in like, a million gallons of some liquid or something. And
like, he just said liquid. I'm like, can go a lot of different ways.
Are they hooking us up like, and we're going inside some liquid into this like virtual
Matrix?
No. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Like we're gonna go in our little like egg pods of goo.
Right.
and then we're gonna generate
with our
thoughts.
This is the future.
Insane.
Where they're probably doing like some sort of like neural mind map interface in terms of just like thought to image or something like that. Feels like they've already done that though at this point.
Yeah.
Or, like mind mapping my brain and my imagination essentially. But dude, who knows?
Allar, what do you think, man? Anything you want to wrap up with? You want to tell people where they can find you, your socials, maybe anything like that? I know you've also got I think you've got a style reference collection too. Like you've got an SREF collection as well.
I made
so
this
guys,
as
if
well.
that's something, why don't you tell people about that in your social?
Yeah. On X and on Instagram by the same name, Allar Haltsonen, and on LinkedIn, like those three places where I'm mostly active. And on my link there, you can find style codes as well, SREF codes.
Okay. Yeah, you got it pinned here on Instagram. Here it is, Jazzy Bubbles with a Z at the end. And then on X, first name, last name.
Yes, boom. Correct.
There it is.
Yeah, guys. I mean, this super fun follow. I mean, love the content, love the quality too, right? Like this feels like, Rory, it's not you, it's not me. It's like a mix in some ways of us. I don't know what it is, but like there's some cool aspects here that feels like really gelled to our different styles.
Yeah. Can appreciate different parts of it too, and as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But dude, just really, really awesome job. I'm going to keep following. I'm going to keep liking. I'm going to keep commenting because it's just like a really, really
Much
awesome aesthetic built.
Same to you guys. I'm keep following, liking, commenting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you guys are both great for the support, and I think we've got a really kind of like small community that does that pretty well. Allar, anything else you want to share before we jump, man?
It's all good. Let's keep cooking.
Let's keep cooking. You heard the
Hell
man.
yeah. All
Rory,
right.
That's your cue.
You guys know what to do. Smash the like and subscribe, please. Damn it.
There you
Do
go.
it now.
You heard
right.
you heard the man. You
There
heard
it
the
is.
man.
As is
Thanks for
tradition.
joining us today, guys. Like we
Thanks,
had a
guys.
blast. Glad we could bring Allar on here. Long overdue. Hopefully you guys got some good nuggets out of that session. And maybe this time next week we're talking about V7. I have no clue. Cross your fingers.
We'll be here.
We'll be here waiting. I'll
Later.
probably be traveling when they do it. Rory, you know I'm traveling there.
Dude, so
Week
am
and a
I.
half.
So will I be. Yeah, I'll be at the back end of that week.
See,
So
that's how we should have known that it was. It's happening the last week of March, guys.
It'll.
So, you know.
I'll give 2 presentations that week overseas, and like this is how you do all this stuff, and then like it'll be null and void 1 week later. That's how
Done.
this will work, right?
That's it.
Thanks.
That's it. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.